And now your analytics. Colby,
Glad to be back.
awesome to have you. How you doing this evening?
Not too bad, thanks.
We got an exciting program started for us that I kind of tipped off, but like, why don't you lean into what do we got first up on the menu?
So one of the first things that I was looking at, every time you watch the stat screen at the end of the game, sometimes you'll see a team that just appears to dominate by all the stats except the score.
Hmm.
And so I wanted to look and see how that compared over the course of a season. Um, which teams seem to under or overperform based on just how well they were actually playing. And so I put this together, looking at the season's advanced stats, face-off percentage, shot attempts, shooting accuracy, and then shot attempts allowed and accuracy allowed
Hmm.
to look at which teams kind of stood out as opposed to how many points they finished the season with. So some of the things aren't going to surprise you, like Dublin. They finished number one in the standings, and I had them number one in my final score. But a couple teams actually had some noteworthy improvements, like Alaska finished fourth in standings, moved up to third by this system.
Hmm.
And based on how well they did in the postseason, it's easy to say, "Oh, underdog got lucky and went on a hot streak," but they may not have been as much of an underdog as we were thinking they were.
Hmm.
Other teams like Tennessee, they had a really rough year, but if you look at this method, they should have moved up a spot and had another 4 points
Oh
at the
yeah.
end of the season. So just a really quick technique for all these. I did these by standard deviations as opposed to by ranking them 1 to 16. Because there were just a couple of times where a team was so far ahead or behind the pack that it just made too significant a difference to be 1 point. So if you look at Dublin's face-off percentage, they won 63.1% of their face-offs, which is just absurd. The next closest was Jacksonville at 57.7. You have to go down another 5 spots to get a gap between Jacksonville and that team that equals the gap between Dublin and Jacksonville.
Hmm.
Uh, or other cases like look at Jacksonville's shooting accuracy, 14.4%. Next closest was Florida at 12.8.
Wow.
Again, just a massive jump from the rest of the pack.
Excellent. That was like super informative, and I appreciate you calling out those, Dublin and Jacksonville. Those were like great examples.